Hello, I'm Mel Stride, Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer, and this is GB News Originals. It's no secret that Britain has a housing problem. It's now far more expensive to get on the property ladder than it was just a few decades ago, and we haven't been building the homes that we need. For millions of people, our housing market simply isn't working. And one critical factor behind our broken housing market is tax, specifically stamp duty. That's the tax you have to pay whenever you buy a house, making the whole process more expensive. And as property prices have risen, so have the amounts of tax people have to pay. This means for many, they simply can't afford it. It means first-time buyers have to save up thousands more on top of their deposit before they can get their foot onto the ladder. It means growing families can't afford to move house for more space. It means older householders can't downsize to free up those larger houses for families. And it also means that workers can't afford to move to where the jobs are. That's a disaster for our society, and it's a disaster for our economy as well. That's why last week the Conservatives announced that we would abolish stamp duty altogether on main homes, because we have to free up our housing market and stop taxing aspiration. Stamp duty is quite simply a terrible tax, but unbelievably, under the current Labour government, it has actually gone up this year. The higher thresholds put in place by the Conservative government have been ended. This chart shows the rates of tax you had to pay last year for different purchase prices. That's the blue bar. And how much that tax has increased this year under Labour. That's the orange bar. For a £300,000 home, for example, the stamp duty this year under Labour would be double what it would have been last year under the Conservatives.
We're living in a time of what feels like pretty significant social change, and it makes us question things that we've even taken for granted for decades. And one of those at the moment that people are wondering about is actually money. Is the money in your bank account safe? Should you be investing elsewhere? Are we looking at a potential global crash? What will it mean for your savings? Is there a way that you could be using your money that might be outside of government control even? Well, TallyMoney is potentially one solution. So I'm delighted to say that I'm joined today by the CEO and founder of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. What is TallyMoney?
Well, at TallyMoney, you basically get gold you can spend. So we give people an individual account in their name, everyday account. They get a sort code, an account number. They use that account just like they would pounds from their bank, but it's milligrams of gold that we brand as Tally.
Okay. Why would you do that, though? What is the benefit to the customer instead of just having a normal pound sterling account?
Gold's performance against the pound is above 11% per annum over the last 25 years on average. But we still need money in our daily lives, and we have savings. We know that it's good common sense and prudent to save up for things, not just live in credit. You know, whether it's a holiday or a rainy day, your retirement planning, you need to have money in your life, basically, that you can rely on, that's dependable, that nobody meddles with, that nobody can weaponize against you, which is another element of government control when it's the government currency, which we could talk about another time. And it should be pretty simple and straightforward, and that's what we deliver at Tally. And really, we just want people to feel safe and happy with their money. There was a time when the bigger your bank balance, the more confident you felt. Now it's like, I need to do something with it. I can't leave it there. In Tally, you can.
Okay, brilliant. Cameron Parry from TallyMoney, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bev.
Now, you might be thinking that at least the very highest bills are paid on the most expensive properties, but that has impacts right across the economy and the housing market. After all, someone buying a £200,000 house might require a property chain which ends with somebody moving up into a much more expensive property. If that person cannot move, that chain won't exist. Economists and think tanks like the Institute for Fiscal Studies are almost unanimous in their view that getting rid of stamp duty would have huge benefits for the whole economy. And unless the government do something soon, people are going to continue to be paying higher and higher tax bills just to move house. Because while house prices rise, the thresholds stay the same. You can see from this chart what is expected to happen to stamp duty receipts over the next 5 years. They are set to almost double. That is a stealth tax which will push up the cost of housing and clog up the market even more. It's yet another drag on our economy thanks to Labour's decision to pump up government spending and push up taxes to pay for it. If they could only get spending under control, they could afford to get rid of stamp duty and stop punishing people just for wanting their own or a better home. And they could do that for less than you might think, because main homes only account for a proportion of the overall stamp duty being paid. In fact, only about half of residential stamp duty is paid on primary residences. The rest is paid on second homes or buy-to-let properties. And then there is stamp duty paid by businesses as well. That means scrapping stamp duty just on main homes can be affordable if only the government had the backbone to stop spending so much. And ultimately, as with any tax, if the government pushes it too far, they will only end up with less money coming in rather than more. In fact, you can already see that the number of housing sales are lower now than they were around a decade ago, despite there being more people and more houses. That is partly because more and more properties have been dragged into higher stamp duty bands. The independent forecaster, the Office for Budget Responsibility, have estimated that for every 1% increase in the effective tax rate, transactions can fall by between 5 and 7%. That doesn't just mean fewer people moving house. It means less business for decorators, movers, builders, conveyancers, and so on. And it means fewer properties on the market at any one time, which reduces the effective supply of housing. That means higher prices. And some studies have also shown that because stamp duty has such a chilling effect on the housing market, it also means less investment in new housing supply as well. When you look at it that way, it becomes clear that high stamp duty is completely self-defeating. Our homes are so central to our lives and to our economy, it simply does not make sense to tax people every time a house changes hands. It's not just the Conservatives saying that, it's economists and experts from across the political spectrum. It's only the Labour government who seem to need convincing. All we are hearing from Rachel Reeves is talk of yet more taxes. It doesn't have to be this way. At the budget, the Chancellor could give millions of people a chance to buy a home and turbocharge our economy by abolishing stamp duty. We have to get rid of this terrible tax. Thanks for watching. I'm Mel Stride, and this was GB News Originals.
GB News isn't just a channel, it's a family.
And now you can be a part of it. Join our membership for exclusive content and to be part of the conversation.
We're building something different together.
So join us today.
Because your voice deserves to be heard. Become a GB News member today.
Visit gbnews.com/support or scan the QR code on screen now. Thank you.